Welcome to Dr. Mark's post-lunch virtual chat with customer experience and customer management futurologist, Peter Lavers.
Hello.
Peter, just before we start, how are you doing yourself in this time?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm okay. I'm working away. I'm glad to say that I've had projects delayed but not cancelled. So I've got stuff to be keeping myself busy and also just staying out there. There's a lot happening. There's a lot to keep up with.
Hey, that sounds great. And so just give me a bit of a flavour then for what have you been doing in terms of working and supporting the client family, your client family and network at the moment?
Well, I think at the moment, the most important thing is to keep in touch, is to just be open to help clients with questions. So literally just before we came on, a client came in with a question just to bounce off me that I can think about and get back to them in the coming hours. And that is really good. Just keep the lines of communication open. One thing that I've learned, and from talking to people, they've been saying as well, is this isn't the time to get all salesy and what can I sell to you? Now is the time to appreciate the customers that we've got and the new customers that the people that we know that we've been looking to develop relationships with, but not to go hard sell. To actually, how can we help in this situation? But of course, still have a commercial reality that there needs to be a value exchange to reflect the value exchange at some point, and that's fine. Most people that I talk to recognise that we all have to make a living at the end of the day. Another thing that really is coming across to me is that while we have this time, there is so much work that we can do up front on projects. So I'm in a situation where I've got projects delayed, but there's so much that I can do to make it really slick when we are actually able to be out there and deliver. So keeping those things in mind, keeping busy is important.
Super. There's a couple of things I really wanted to cover off with you in this session. Is one really what you've been picking up from your conversation with leaders that you've been chatting to, and also what you feel is going to be the next stage in terms of business recovery. So the first area really is so the leaders that you've been chatting to, and like you said, you just had this conversation this morning. What are the key things that you've picked up from them during this time?
One of the things which I have to, probably the biggest thing, is the importance of companies to stick to their core values in this time. There are all sorts of possibilities, opportunities, to actually do things that are countercultural to your business, and temptations almost to go against what is the right thing to do. And of course, with commercial pressures, with all sorts of pressures on us, those are real temptations. They're not, they're not just theoretical. But the vital importance of sticking to who we are, what we stand for as a business, to carry on doing the right thing through this time, I think is really important, because companies coming out of this need to not just be financially viable. They need to be able to hold their heads up high and to say to their teams, it was tough, but we got through it together and we didn't compromise who we are. I'm really concerned. I'm really concerned for, I'm sure you've done it as well. I've known and worked with and come across some companies who are really hard sales, numbers focused businesses, and they are proud of standing and falling by their quarterly numbers. And to be honest, they don't really care who the customer is, as long as they've hit their target or exceeded their target. And I fear for those people at the moment. But they're having to they're having
Yeah.
to figure out what relationship management is all about.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they've got to be building long-term relationships rather than just hitting their targets. And I worry for them.
I think that leads nicely, actually, Peter, into the last question for this post lunchtime virtual chat, which is, the focus has been really heavily on business continuity. What would you suggest to leaders out there about the next stage in terms of business recovery? I know that a few people I've spoken to are heavily involved in it at the moment. What are your views that you can share?
Well, I don't know if you've been watching the daily number 10 Downing Street press conferences, and I'm sure if people are watching from other countries, I'm sure there's similar things that their presidents or prime ministers are doing, or key people are doing on a daily basis. And one thing that's absolutely struck me is how data-led the response to this pandemic. As we come through into recovery, how can I be more data and insight led in my business? Because actually, I confidently predict that the people who win are the people of the companies that win will be the ones that recognize and analyze what the new normal actually is, and adapt their business models to it the quickest. And if I just say this, if you furloughed all your analysts and your data scientists and your insight people, think long and hard about how to bring them back in and get them bringing insight into this new normal as quickly as possible. Yeah, I think that's what I'd say.
Great, thank you. That's been really, really interesting, and thank you for giving up some time post lunch.
You're absolutely welcome.
Yeah, this is the first in a series I'll be undertaking to share how others are making sense out of the unknown. So thank you, Peter, and look forward to catching up with you again when we're able to do it face to face.
Absolutely. Cheers.